Apparently, another Trump tape has dropped, and experts are apparently stunned. I'm not exactly sure why, because as we get into the details here, it's going to be, I think, something that we all kind of expected. So let's get into that. Salon reports that a Fulton County grand jury recently had heard a previously unreported recording of former President Donald Trump pressuring a top Georgia Republican to help overturn his election loss in the state. Of course. I told you were not going to be surprised. Another tape of Donald Trump trying to pressure them to give him the election. What a surprise. Wow, I never would have seen this coming. But anyway, okay. Now, according to a report by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the 5 grand jurors who spoke with the AJC revealed that investigators have an audio recording of Trump pressuring then Georgia House Speaker David Ralston, the late David Ralston, to push for a special session to reverse President Joe Biden's win. One juror told AJC that on the call, Ralston had proved to be an amazing politician. So, look, I would like to hear the tape, but it's not been publicly released yet, as far as my knowledge. But nonetheless, they go through and they talk about what they had heard. The speaker, they said, basically cut the president off. I will do everything in my power that I think is appropriate, he said, which took the wind out of Trump's sails.
Can't let that happen.
The juror said that Trump had replied, well, thank you, is all he could say. Now, look, Ralston, by the way, had died last year. That's why I call him the late David Ralston. But he had revealed Trump's call in December of 2020, the day after it had happened. Trump, he said, would like a special session at the Georgia General Assembly. He's been clear on that before, and it was clear on that in the phone conversation yesterday. I shared with him my belief that based on the understanding I have of Georgia law, that it was going to be a very much an uphill battle, Ralston told a local news outlet. Ralston then explained that there were just not enough votes in the state legislature to call a special session, and Governor Brian Kemp had declined to call for one despite Donald Trump's pressure. So, look, Donald Trump was around pressuring pretty much everyone he could in the state in order to have them find him additional votes. Just a few more, one more vote than what I need. That's all. One more vote than what I need, and then I'll be happy. Just find me the votes. Just find me the votes. And they all had to explain to him, sir, that there aren't the votes. You just don't have them. You don't have enough votes. You lost the state. Yeah, but can you find them for me? Why don't you do a special session to kind of undo this and then hand over the state to me? Based on what? Based on pretty please. Cherry on top. Maybe I'll throw in a Trump water. Big water. Great water. Ocean water. So, look, this would be the third Trump phone call that I'm aware of that was intended to pressure this state, the state of Georgia, to overturn Joe Biden's win. And by the way, that does not include the Trump associates who had made similar calls. Giuliani, I don't know, Lindsey Graham. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name for a second. But yeah, Lindsey Graham also had tried to pressure state officials in Georgia to help Donald Trump, to give him votes that he did not earn. And I think that's really important, okay? So as I said before, or asked, what evidence did they have to try to overturn it? Again, nothing. Nothing. No evidence that was found of votes being flipped, stolen, rigged, or lost. Sorry, sad day for you, There was no basis for calling a special session for trying to overturn the vote. And they knew that. And David Ralston, again, he's like, no, that's going to get me in trouble. In fact, Ralston, let's see, he then referred to then Trump legal advisor John Eastman's January 6th strategy to have the certification of Biden's victory blocked in Congress, mainly by former Vice President Mike Pence.
Mike Pounds.
And he referred to it as this, quote, "That's something I think we want to tread very, very carefully around, because that could be used against us someday." As is this call for a special session. Well, with the jury hearing this tape, he was ultimately proven correct. So now look, getting back to the number of calls. One call, to pressure them, bad enough. 2, rather suspicious, not good. 3, well, that indicates a clear-cut pattern. So this is, again, evidence that Donald Trump knew what he was doing in trying to call and pressure all of these legislators to basically ignore the will of the voters in Georgia and in other places, by the way, to, again, ignore it so that he could remain in power, to take the power for himself with votes that he did not earn. And that's the real problem here. That is the big issue. It is, again, undemocratic and authoritarian. Now, 2 former federal prosecutors weighed in on this. It's Renato Mariotti, who called this report jaw-dropping. Again, I don't really think that this is a surprise. Nonetheless, people are acting surprised. I don't know why. And you also have former U.S. Attorney Harry Littman calling this incendiary and asks, how big does Willis want to go in with her charges? Look, here's the thing, though. Okay. So I understand that the panel in Georgia had recommended indictments for more than a dozen people, but we don't know if Donald Trump's one of them. We just don't know. That ends up being up to Willis. Now, I'm trying to be a positive person, but I'm also, when it comes to people actually holding Donald Trump accountable, I'm very skeptical. And there's a reason for that, of course. Because every time they've tried to hold him accountable, it has never worked. So, and again, that's for various different reasons. Republicans coming in and protecting Donald Trump at all costs. People who are just afraid of Donald Trump. The list goes on, right? And so I'm a little skeptical that, again, even though, yes, this is a clear pattern of Donald Trump interfering in a state election to, essentially steal power for himself. I still don't think that they're going to have the courage or the ability to hold him accountable. And so, look, right now, by the way, Fannie Willis might actually be, wanting to do this, to, take Donald Trump and hold him accountable for interfering in the election and doing this, illegal pressure campaign. But she might not even have the opportunity to do so. Georgia Republicans are working on passing laws to remove prosecutors like Willis. So again, she might not even have the chance. And this is for daring to go after Donald Trump. Even though it's very, very clear what Trump tried to do, trying to steal the election, I'm just afraid that he might get away with it.